Guys, welcome back to the AR podcast. I have Miss Katie Salerni here, one of our coaches. Welcome, Katie.
Hello.
And so I want to just dive right in. When you came over to AR, you were a referral from Clayton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clayton Steiner, and obviously being a part of the mastermind inside PT Dom. And we come out the gate like running, hot, successful business, a lot of different coaches underneath you, leads all over the place. And how long ago was that? How long have you been with AR?
A few months, maybe 4.
Yeah, not terribly long because it was basically, I think, end of Q4 going into Q4.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of like interesting calls in the beginning, I think, of getting things aligned. I know we just shared before the call that you feel like you're in a really great place that you haven't been in 2 years. You care to talk about that for a second?
For sure. So I'm definitely a hard charger. I love to push. I love to see what I'm capable of. I'm very creative and also aggressive with the work ethic, which results in pretty successful entrepreneurship. But I was pursuing a lot of things at one time. So last year I was getting out of the Navy. I was doing on prep for a bodybuilding show. I was like halfway through developing a new property and having to do a lot of transformative work on a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house that I bought that was a shithole that I was turning into a beautiful Airbnb. And then also launched my online coaching business at the same time. And then I had to also go to trial with this man who assaulted me. So that was all within like the same year. And I've just been in grind mode since I realized like I was going to get out of the Navy. It was like, all right, like let's make this new endeavor work. So I was also taking a class online at Cornell. And this past week, I finally gotten the Airbnb on the market. Amen. So that's off my plate. I have a property manager doing all that. And then I also have just set up the team that I have in a way where I'm not managing all of the problems. I'm not solving every single thing all the time. And I've really developed and empowered leaders in my business so that they can handle things at their own level. And then also I make sure that everyone is very keenly aware of what everyone else's job description is, what their role is, so that they can reach out to the appropriate personnel and they don't need to come all the way up to me with the problem so that I can bring it all the way back down to them. So the teamwork is like really unreal, and it allows me to do more of what I need to do in order to create success for the team, which is like learning, looking forward, strategizing, and then also content.
I love it. I love it. And give me a percentage you think that maybe AR attributed to help putting some organization in the place for you and the team.
Well, I just love AR because it centralized everything. So before we were using a whole bunch of CRMs like ClickUp. We had Google Sheets on Google Sheets, like we had people everywhere. We had comms everywhere. So you guys helped us to integrate with Slack, which is super nice. And now all of our community messages are in there, and then integrated a bunch of Zapier automations, which helped us a lot, just minimize the mundane tasks. So that puts more time back into, my team's life, which is awesome, whether they want to do that personally or to, do different stuff for the business with that extra time.
I love it. I love it. And so let's talk about who you actually coach right now. So who is your ideal client? Like, what's your specialty?
My specialty, well, it's a little difficult to say because I do have a very strong background in powerlifting. I have a very strong background in bodybuilding and then also military fitness. I would say that the general theme of who I like to coach is people who want to be the best versions of themselves and who are looking to be empowered in every which way. Typically pretty busy people, just because I do think being able to have such incredible athletic success while being in the military, while, deploying and doing all that stuff. I coach a lot of military. I coach a lot of busy entrepreneurs. Men and women. Typically, I do market towards women because as a woman, I think that I have unique struggles and it's a lot easier for me to relate to the women. But I cherish the men in our group. They are such blessings. They are so special. And I think that it takes a certain type of man to be humble enough to be coached by a woman who's more physically in shape than you. And I just respect the hell out of them. So my niche is probably just busy people who want to elevate themselves mentally, physically, and morally.
I love that. I love that.
and financially, because I go over a lot of stuff in our group
Yeah.
call.
I always find that the more that you can help somebody in a well-rounded sense, the better you're going to be. Like, my wife's coaching is called Well-Rounded Coach. And it's like, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you struggle in one aspect of your life, the rest of it is going to suffer to some degree. And so
100%.
fitness being the cornerstone, I think, of many things, budgeting your money and budgeting macros go hand in hand.
That's exactly what I talked about on last night's live. Like, that's exactly what I said, because the discipline you learn with fitness and the self-control, working on your mindset, that applies to every single other aspect of life. And like, if you're going to be excellent fitness wise, like, let me give you the tools to be excellent money wise. Cause then, and mindset too. Like, if you don't have the mindset, you have nothing. And when you have the mindset and you develop it, I don't think people understand that you can like work on the way that you think. I don't think that people take that into account and really apply effort towards changing the way that your mind works, which is like how you attract goodness in every other aspect of life, whether it's like relationships or a new job that you want, you know?
Yep. I love that. What's your favorite thing about being a coach?
I think that the world is a pretty dark place, and it makes me feel better than anything else to have a direct impact on how other people see the world and how they feel about themselves. I think that it's like I give the gift of self-confidence to people, which elevates not only them, but everyone in their family, their friend group, and like their close circle. And I just feel like by giving men and women the tools to be self-confident and successful, and then also teaching them the why behind all of that, now they glow differently, which helps to change them and their sphere in a really positive way. And then also, like, 10% of my clients become personal trainers or coaches themselves because they have all the knowledge and they're very inspired. And I feel like I'm changing the world in a really positive way. And that makes me really happy.
I love that. Very well said. Very well said. So I love asking this question. Who did you look up to when you got into fitness?
I have like many screenshots of, Paige Hathaway and all these like bodybuilding.com influencers in the OG days. From when I was like 13, 14, I wouldn't really say I had anyone specific that I looked up to in fitness, because fitness was just an avenue for me to push myself as hard as I could. I really look up to like great leaders, inspirational people, specifically my mom, who is like the biggest badass I know. She is just the most incredible woman. Like, she served in the military for 20 years, is such a great leader. And like, she really showed me how to take care of your people, how to lead with integrity, how to treat people. And like, fitness has always been awesome and I love pushing myself, but it wasn't the end goal for me. I just like the process of working hard, if that makes sense.
Totally. I love that. So Paige Hathaway. So, I used to work at Shreds. I was like the 9th employee. And so we talked, when you said Paige, I'm like, man, that's an OG. Chris, she does live here. She's an OG. She lives here in Dallas as well. That's really cool. Cause it's like, I'm a little bit older than you. And so I've been around the block in the fitness for quite some time. And when we pull out an old name like that, it just brings up some good old memories. So
yeah, I'm very hesitant to place any sort of, I want to be like that person unless I know them personally, because I really look up to people with character, and it's really difficult to know someone's character from a photo or from,
especially back then when there's like no video, it's just imagery, right? A few kick messages, if anybody remembers what that is. It's before Instagram had DMs. It was like you had to kick them on a different app. But what made you decide to want to be a coach?
I had a lot of personal struggles growing up, like a lot of sexual abuse, and I found great solace in lifting. It was a great outlet for me. I never turned to drinking, never turned to drugs. I turned to lifting, and the stronger I got, the more emphasis I placed on what my body could do rather than what I looked like. And I thought that was super powerful. I thought that was a really powerful message for women, especially. But mostly I just wanted to give the gift of like that feeling of being strong and empowered and feeling really good about yourself. So I coached for free for a long time after I graduated from the Naval Academy. I coached at the Naval Academy. It was always just something I did on the side. When I was in the military, because I loved helping people and I could see the direct impact that I was making in their lives. Like lifting saved my mental health and I wanted to give that to other people. I never really considered pursuing it as a job because I just didn't think that there was like money in it because I didn't really understand how someone could scale this kind of business, could scale one-on-one coaching. Because like I had 30 clients and I was so overwhelmed because I didn't have adequate systems put in place or automations to help me take care of the extra bullshit that was not actually speaking to people, actually giving them good programming. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So it was when I met my friend Heather Wolk, who was doing this very successfully and also making good income from it, that I was like, wait, like people can do this as a job? Because in California, it costs you an arm and a leg to live out here, you know? Like you can't just be a coach coaching 30 people and like making a livable wage unless you're charging those people an insane amount, which I think is shitty because the cost of fitness should be free. But hey, I digress. And so once I realized that other people were doing this and making a livable wage, I was like, this is my favorite thing in the world. I do this for free. I wake up at 3 a.m. before my 5 a.m. check into my Navy job so I can do this. I work during lunch. I used to work every Sunday doing my little client programs because I had work during the week. And like, I was like, wait, this is sick. And then once I discovered that there was a way, I just was like, I'm all in on this path. Like, I'm going to blow this up.
I love that so much. And yes, California is expensive. I lived in Huntington Beach for like 6 months before I moved to Dallas. And I was like, two things. One, I was broke. I mean, I was out there trying to make it after quitting a job. And then two, I didn't go outside and enjoy the actual California enough because I was like, I'm gonna grind to build something. So I spent like all my time in my apartment. So like one regret I do have is not taking enough Tuesday board meetings at the beach. But
yeah, my head coach and I, we take a lot of our meetings on bike rides. It's awesome. Bike rides on the board.
I love that so much.
I love the sunshine. I love like the weather is the best part about being here. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like if I'm gonna have to
San Diego, the weather is amazing.
Yeah, to pay for taxes for weird shit, you know, I'm like, well, at least I'm going to enjoy this weather. I'm going to go surfing as much as I can. I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to really maximize my time here.
I love that. I love that. Well, looking forward to being out there here real soon.
Good.
Okay, so I got two kind of like last questions I want to dive into here. What was your biggest hesitation before joining AR?
I didn't have one.
You didn't have one. You were just sold, like sign me up.
Yeah, because I was hurting. The lack of automation was killing me because when you don't have automated things, there's so much human error. And as we were scaling, a human error was scaling and all of the little things. This person's email was wrong, input it into Trainerize, or there's a Stripe issue, or just little things would fall through the cracks all the way down to me. And having to manage those little things nonstop was so painful that I literally would have done anything to get rid of it, which is why immediately I signed up with you. I was like, take all of my money. Like, what did I probably cut you off. I cut you off halfway through the call. I was like, you don't need to sell me. I want this. Like, give it to me right now. You're going to set up all the automations for me. You're going to help teach me like strategy to grow. You have so much experience. Baker is the shit. Like, I had zero hesitations because you're a great man. Baker is a great man. You have experience on the leadership and business side. Baker has experience on the nerd side and the practical application of this stuff. You guys are the most helpful, most responsive people. The fact that the CEO, like I can text the CEO of a company an issue and you respond immediately. Every time I call, you know, you're answering immediately. Like the customer service is the most unreal thing I've ever experienced. And like, even if I didn't need it as bad as I did, like the care, the very clear care that you put forth towards your clients, it just made it a really easy buy. Like I just had zero qualms about it because it was super easy to establish a trusting relationship with the both of you.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that. And I will definitely let the team know because they're the ones behind the scenes making it all happen. And of course, Baker is a savage being able to do what he does. And so we love working with people that have a great work ethic like yourself that really buy into what is the future of what we're trying to build. And, you know, we try to give back as much as is given to us. And so that's awesome. I appreciate that. So what's been your biggest win since joining AR?
My biggest win, well, first of all, our first month actually using AR, I think we like almost 3x'd our monthly income and it has stayed there. So to go from what we were making to making 3 times as much and be able to impact like way more people, because our clientele, like we got 60 more clients in a 1 month, which before, we're trying to get like 3 to 5 every month, adding on. It was a slow build, but learning the marketing strategies that you taught me, being able to use workflows to help on the comm side to make sure no one was slipping through the cracks. Like, oh my God. And just the systems that made it so much easier on my team so that they could have more time to help me with the things that I needed help with. Absolutely such a win. And like just having time to breathe. Like I personally am not a big fan of trading time for money. Like there's nothing you could sell me on that would make me sell my free time for money, because I just don't think that that's what life is about. Like time is your most precious resource, and spending money to get your time back is the smartest thing anyone could ever do. Because like this is your life and that is a resource that's non-renewable. You'll never get it back. Money is abundant. You can make as much as you feel like. So definitely, like I get to hang out with my husband all the time now. Like I can go work out whenever I want. My life feels very stress-free and beautiful. And like after being in such a structured regime in the Navy where I was consistently told what to do for almost 10 years and like every minute of my time wasn't mine, like there's just not a price that I could put on the happiness that I feel from the freedom that I have right now. That's like the freedom is my biggest win. And knowing that I am able to pay my best friends in the world, because they work for me, like a livable wage so that they can do stuff that they are amazing at. Like, oh my God, biggest win.
Well, that's awesome. We usually find that when someone like yourself comes to us with an established business of some degree, whether there's holes in the bucket or not, whenever we put the automation into place, the business usually just gets an instant lift just because we don't have any, like the leaks are smaller. We don't have the little drops. We don't have to alert somebody that something happens, and we get to pull out the middleman and the communication where the ball is usually dropped, and allows you to have a little bit more just carefree of like, what about every little thing that's happening? It's like all those things become automated. I always like to say, whatever we're doing more than once, that's the same task. Let's do our best to automate that. And that's what allows you to buy back all that time, which is allow you to enjoy with your husband, enjoy going surfing more. And so for me, that makes me the happiest, that you're enjoying living life instead of your business running your life. So to me, whether you increase money or not, everybody has different goals. I want to make more money. Absolutely. Let's do it. However, at what cost? And the fact that we've been able to essentially create both at the same time, to me, what more could you ask for inside of your own business? So
seriously, because before I felt like a slave to my business because I was working from 3:30 in the morning until like 10 p.m. every single day for a year and a half. You know what I mean? Whether that was like learning all the skills that I needed to learn about business, because this is my first time running a business. I didn't know how anything worked.
Sure.
Or about like how Stripe works or Trainerize, or like little things like, oh, we have to have a community for our clients and what do we put in there? And you know what I mean? Like posting content consistently and on a bajillion platforms, like it's a lot. And I was like, okay, well, and it's stressful because you have people to pay and you're like consistently like, oh my God, like I have to pay these people this much money every month. And if you have a bad month, it's like, I don't have a savings account yet because we just started our business. We don't have like a lot of revenue built up. So that was like so helpful now that I have that cushion, and I'm not a slave anymore to my business. My business is a slave to me. So that's awesome. It's the best thing ever.
I love it. Well, where can people find you, Katie?
I'm at Katie Lifts on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Like, I don't know. Probably eventually I'm starting a podcast. I just am building my podcast studio now because my clients are like, they love listening to the lives while they work out. They're like, you're so motivational. I love it. And so I'm like, all right, guys, like I will keep yapping for you because I have a lot of things to say. I take a lot of personal client calls and give just advice that I wish that I knew way back when. Yeah, catch me podcast. It's going to be How to Be a Bad Bitch on all streaming platforms.
I love that. And I think that's very suiting for you. All right, Katie, I appreciate it. Until next time, stay at it, coach.
Cheers.